Commence primary ignition.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
What a piece of junk.
Enterprise, this is the captain.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's all part of the plan.
Engage.
Welcome back to Podcast 2 for 1. I'm your host, Donovan Thompson, with my co-host,
Daniel Wingfield.
And we are back again today with none other than motherfucking Johnnie Brannon.
The motherfucker himself. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely motherfucker.
Yeah. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. That way, up to date on all future episodes of Podcast 2 for 1 and all the cool content we have at 2 for 1 Studios. Johnny, I'm glad you're back. I think last time you were on, it was last year technically, but we talked about indie filmmaking.
Oh, okay.
It was indie filmmaking and kind of like what to do in the space, like kind of like in Arkansas. And
there was that article about the death of indie cinema, I think.
Yes, that's right. Yep. And you and I've been talking back and forth a little bit, Johnny, lately. And you just worked on a movie called The Chariot, and we kind of wanted to pick your brain a little bit, kind of how you got on the project, and just your experience on it, and just kind of go from there. So, start us off. How did you get on this project?
Well, a good friend of ours, Robert Babcock, he works for Skipstone Pictures up in Northwest Arkansas. And Robert hollered at me one day and asked me if I was free to go to a location here in Little Rock and just kind of do some filming for this film that was possibly going to be coming to Arkansas. And so I said, yeah, sure. So I went down and the director of this film, The Chariot, his name's Adam Sigal. He messaged me through Facebook. He did a walkthrough of the Lafayette, which is right on the corner of, I think it's Center and 6th Street. And it's an old building. It's been there, it's like, I think it might be on the historical register, maybe. I'm not sure. But we did a walkthrough. They liked it. Then Adam messaged me and asked me if I'd be interested in hunting some of these locations down for them because they were probably going to be coming in the film. I didn't know anything about this movie at all, nothing at all. So just, from my own connections, I started kind of putting out vague Facebook posts of I'm looking for a cabin here, if anybody knows, or I'm looking for, this type of location, a house with a ladder, with a or not a basement, but a attic. It's got a walkthrough, whatever. So I was doing all this without basically saying there's a movie coming and we need these locations.
Right.
As I was trying to just kind of keep it on a DL, and I didn't know who was in the movie, didn't know nothing about it. And so Robert, throughout this whole process, was like, I want to get you on this thing, So originally, I was going to be production coordinator, and which would be just office work. I wouldn't be on a set or nothing. And then I kind of got to where I just really couldn't put a whole lot of time into hunting these locations. I did what I could, and it's because this is such a small film and a very small indie film, they being the production had a hard time of really having enough people to do a location scout basically. And so, but for me, I'm also freelancing as well. So I'm like, well, I kind of got paid gigs that I got to work on. So, and I did get paid for, doing some of the location stuff, but throughout this thing, Robert was like, yeah, I won't bring you on. I guess because I wasn't on as much, they hired a lady up in Northwest Arkansas who had actually worked on their previous film, Max Winslow and The House of Secrets or something like that. Yeah. And that actually ended up like getting a distribution deal and whatnot. And so she got on that, and she got to become, production coordinator. Then he asked me if I want to do DIT, and I was like, well, I don't know. So I thought about it, and I thought, well, it might be kind of cool, just kind of, see the footage beforehand, and kind of put it all together. But because of the scope and of what they were going to be using, I talked with Craig Wynn, who was their AC, first AC, and Craig's pretty knowledgeable on like the files and what they were shooting with and everything. And I was like, I want to tap out. This might be a little too much for me. I've done a very low scale DIT stuff, so. Right. So they anyway, I ended up, telling Robert, I don't think there's really a position in here for me. So then he offered me the key set PA, which I'm very familiar with that position, and I would be working hand in hand with the AD. So basically, For a lot of people, anybody out there that doesn't know, like, aren't familiar with a film set, it's you got your AD who's kind of running the show, basically making sure that everything's staying on time. Key set, like myself, I have to be on set for him. I was like his left-hand man. You got the second AD that does mostly office work, actually. You know, every day they're printing out the call sheets, making sure that a lot of the stuff behind the scenes is kind of, you know, moving and grooving for the production. But the key set is basically almost like second. So I was there, you know, like right there with them. You know, and then the PAs, you know, the other production assistants were basically under me. So I would have to, you know, just kind of make sure that whatever runs need to go, whatever, you know, things had to happen on set. I kind of delegated all that stuff. And so and plus, you know, locking down a set, making sure that, you know, nobody's coming on set, keeping it quiet, and making sure that the AD was taken care of, basically. So I learned a lot.
It's interesting, that chain of command there. You know, like I always think the AD is there to take care of the director, and then now you have the key set PA there to take care of the AD. Yeah, and you know, every film set's going to be different. But for the most part, if you're working on a film, that's kind of what to expect. The AD I worked under, his name was Phil Click. He had worked with Skipstone Productions before on Max Winslow, and he worked on a couple of other films here in Arkansas. But he's done a lot of AD, and he's right on top of it. And he and I we clicked really, really well. No pun intended.
No pun intended. But we worked really, really well, and I made sure that, you know, like whatever he needed, I was there. Anytime he made a call, I'm you know, troubleshooting, all that stuff. So it was, and not to mention, I learned a lot, you know, from him on making sure that, you know, this thing was ran like a, you know, like you know how we've done it, you know. So
right.
And no joke, there's no difference in what you did for me on Ladies Night and Devil Made Me Do It to what Phil did for the Chariot. So it's that whole bit of making sure that the film's, you know, running and gunning and everybody's taking care of it. It's on every level, whether it be a indie film like this, which had I think it was like a 1.5 million budget,
really?
To something that we make here in Arkansas on a much lower budget. So,
I remember talking. So, I listened to recently. I talked to Jason, and we kind of kept hitting that same beat of
Jason Miller of the recent guest on the
Echo
podcast,
Boomers.
Co-writer of Echo Boomers. Oh, okay, that Jason Boomer.
Yeah,
Jason
Miller. Jason
Boomer.
That's his new name. You know, it's weird. I was just in Best.
Oh yeah.
I was in Best Buy a minute ago, and they had a copy of Echo Boomers selling at Best Buy, and I was like, "That's really cool."
Well, if they don't stock it here, where will they stock it?
Exactly. And but no, anyway, a common thing that kind of kept popping up was, you know, even though the budget might be a little inflated, and maybe egos are inflated on some, you know, on these bigger movies, that at the end of the day, they're no different than what we're doing here. Maybe better run, and maybe some cases they're not. But it was just an interesting tidbit. One thing I know Daniel, you had a question. One thing I want to touch back on real quick, Johnny. One of the first things you said, it's kind of a pet peeve of mine. To your credit, you said that whenever you were making a fake post looking for locations, if you had told that there was a movie being made in your post or X, Y, and Z, everyone would have been commenting, "Oh, I want to be in it. Oh, I want to roll. Oh, can you put me in it? X, Y, and Z." And it's like, I love the enthusiasm, but that's not how you're going to get into this movie.
Absolutely.
You know, that drives me crazy. And if you've done that, that's, you know, this is your way.
No,
this is
shut
the
up.
moment.
Go. Yeah, you suck. Stop.
If you've done that, I love you. Not unlike Daniel, but this is me telling you there's a better way of going about it.
I'll say you're blending in with Amateur Hour when you're doing that.
There you
go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just have a question, honestly, is what the fuck is the Chariot? And why should I care? Because we kind of breezed right in there. But I just want some, you know, thinking about our maybe non-film people. Or, you know, I know we have at least 2 listeners somewhere in like New Zealand. Thinking about these kinds of people that aren't familiar with the streets of Little Rock or whatnot. Can we just get a little background on what was this film? I mean, I know that as much information as you're allowed to share. No, say that.
It's pretty much all out there now.
Okay.
It's
Did you sign an NDA, Johnny?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
That's why I had to keep everything really quiet.
Gotcha.
And what's funny, and you may have seen this in Real Arkansas, I was putting a post out, and some guy was like, "Why don't you get somebody that's locations, like a locations person?" And I'm like,
I didn't see that.
Person. Yeah. I was like, well, the thing is,
Thanks.
and not knowing, they didn't reach out to Chris Crane either at first, and I was kind of like, why are you guys asking me? Why you should be asking the film commissioner? But I think they were just kind of keeping everything low scale, or not low scale, but on the DL at first. I know eventually, they're going to have to get with the film commissioner for all the other stuff. So whenever I got to the point to where I got what I could for them, then Chris Crane came in, and the cabin and such. The cabin that they found was up in Jasper, and I actually went to Norfolk and looked for it at a cabin up there, and they actually came to town back in November, and they asked me if I would be willing to kind of to go to these locations with them. I'm like, well, you don't really need me. I mean, I'm just going to stand there and be like, we went down to Disability Rights of Arkansas, and they looked at the office there because there's a key scene where Shane West, that actor, he plays a character in this film who has this doctor's office, so to speak, or whatever it is. And Thomas Mann, who's the lead in the film, I guess this is gonna sound bad, but I haven't read the script. I had the script forever and I hadn't read the script. I'm really bad about that overall. That's not just that script, it's every script. I'm bad and I'm working on that, I promise you.
I get it, I understand.
I know, I feel like a dick. But so they needed like an office where they can destroy glass window, where they were going to replace it, they bring in a fake one and all that stuff. But we did, locations where we went up to Disability Rights and we looked at their office. They loved it. But, once they come into town, they look at these locations up front and, like, okay, they can kind of get decide whether they don't want that location or not. So then they went to Chris Crane, and Chris Crane kind of went back out and kind of did this big old, blanket spread of looking for some of the locations that I actually was looking for them. And he ended up like getting a lot of them. There was a few that we got for them that are going to be in the film, and which is pretty cool. But I'm not going to get credited as locations manager or locations or anything like that. So, but then getting hired as key set PA. Wait, going back to your question on why the Chariot came to Little Rock.
Or what is this movie? Is this a movie about the Roman chariots that
it's
went around in the Colosseum? Oh, okay.
Reincarnation. It's kind of a dark, humored, dark sci-fi reincarnation.
Cool.
Thomas Mann's character. I mean, it starts off where it takes place in the 1800s, and then it works its way towards now. Wow. And so it's really dark. I mean, it's a really dark film. It's also got a lot of humor in it, but it's really interesting. I don't know. They LA right now is kind of shut down with COVID. So a lot of the productions out there are shut. And they actually was trying to bring that to Oklahoma. And then Johnny Remo from Skipstone got with one of the other producers, Sasha Yulin. And he said, hey, why don't you come to Arkansas and check it out? So between them two and then a few other producers, Sasha's partner, which is Henry Penzie, they all came in and liked Arkansas, and they brought it here. They all worked it all out and everything. And
that's interesting.
Small budget, is a 20-day shoot, and I was on it for 18 days until the weather kind of knocked me out of it. But it was really, really interesting to say the least. Not to mention, with a movie that being that low budget, there's a lot of things that we ended up wearing multiple hats on. And not only was I key set PA, I was locations, I was also transpo, and I was also I'm talking big major parts of a film, like when I worked on God's Not Dead 2, I was a key swing, which put me in different parts of the set of helping out and troubleshooting and all. But I was mostly with their locations, and there's like 5 of us for locations. We didn't have that on this film. So it was a struggle. That part of it was a struggle, and there was it's not a perfect everything. There's things that happened that wasn't perfect that could have been avoided, but then there's also things that was pretty amazing to see. I mean, John Malkovich, you
kind of had a small story earlier when we talked. you got to talk to him a little bit, kind of off the side, right?
Yeah. So we were actually the location they used for this office for Shane West. It was down at the Chamber of Commerce, so it was all glass and everything. And John Malkovich is this eccentric character in this film. He's really bizarre and kind of odd, and he wears a wig in this film. So so we're at the top of the Chamber of Commerce, and Phil, the AD, is down at the very end by the office where Shane West is, and they were shooting down this kind of like this hall area where Malkovich was going to be walking towards. So I was the person to cue him. And so Phil was like, all right, Mr. Malkovich, whenever, just keep an eye on Johnny over here, because what he's going to do is he's going to cue you. And then whenever you say action, we'll have Johnny just cue you, and then you walk down here and yada, yada, yada. So I looked at him and I go, Mr. Malkovich, when I do this, that means they're ready for you. And he's like, okay. And so he's watching me, he's waiting for me to cue him. And the first thing I did, because I had my headphones on, my headset on for my walkie, and there I go, and action. And then I'd hear, and they go, Johnny. So that was my cue to go like this. And I pointed at him and did it. And he came walking around, and he goes, oh my God, I forgot my lines. And I'm like, oh shoot. And there was a side sitting right there, right next to me. So I grabbed the side and I started flipping through it. And I go, is this it? This it? And they're still rolling, like he actually stopped, and they can't see us because because he had to kind of walk around this desk. And I'm like, oh, what is it? This one? He goes, oh, I don't got my glasses. And I was holding it up there for him. He's looking, he goes, okay. And he grabbed it. He goes, okay, that should work. And he put it in his pocket and just kept walking, walking down there. And I watched him hold on to that side, and he set it down. I grabbed it as soon as we cut and everything. I actually grabbed that side. So I still have it here. On the same page that he had it on, which was pretty amazing. But so we did that a couple of times, and then walking down to his trailer or to the RV, and so I'm in there and I'm walking down there, and we get outside and I go, Mr. Malkovich, I'm not going to get a chance to tell you this again, but just want to let you know that Of Mice and Men is like my favorite performance of yours, and it's incredible. And he goes, oh, thank you so much. And he goes, but he doesn't, he's like, oh, thank you, and but he put his hand like that, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. It's like the best day ever. And super nice. I mean, everybody had nothing but incredible things to say about him. Was he just there one day? Okay, wow, okay. And so he was there for the first week, and we were out at the silo shooting this big scene out there where they got Thomas Mann on his gurney, and Barry Clifton is actually in the scene, and he was awesome. There. And so that was actually John Malkovich's last night. So they wrapped him, and he was like, very thankful. He goes, I loved Arkansas. Thank you guys for having me. And it was such a pleasure. And I would love to come back again sometime. And
that's cool.
Next time you're going to be in my movie. And everybody's like, I don't listen to Johnny. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So.
No, it's very possible. That's how you make those connections.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I do got a few more questions for you. How did making a movie work in COVID? I mean, I know it's a smaller budget, but do you have to go through basically a class? Did you have to do that? Did you have to what? Tell me what happened.
They're and then this is actually all across the board on most of the films that's in productions right now, anywhere in the country, is that you got the different zones. You got Zone A and Zone B. Right. And so Zone A was where, if you were going to be on set with the talent, if it's hair and makeup, if it's anybody working on camera, G&E crew and whatnot, and me being a PA, set PA, we all had Zone A, wristbands. Now, when we first started production, there was some of us that had the brain swab. So they didn't realize that I had to be on set, so I didn't get that. So they didn't go all the way up there and swab my brain, but they were very thorough on makeup. We tested twice a week, and we tested ourselves. So we would test on Mondays. We'd have to bring our test in Monday morning and Wednesday morning, and so twice a week we made sure we tested. They wiping down, everything, and we had to make sure that we were. I mean, it was really, really thorough as far as making sure that everybody was taking that precaution of staying safe. I wore the N95 masks, and it, of course, there's a picture. I, cut into my nose quite a bit, but I got to wear, that was the only mask that I could really wear because my glasses would fog up if I was wearing anything else.
Right.
And you know, I think that, like if there's anybody out there that's making a film, they can take the same precautions that this film did. Now, given, you know, doing your own testing, like, you know, swabbing your nose, that's going to get pricey and whatnot, and that's going to get expensive. But as far as like cleaning, making sure everything's wiped down clean, wearing your mask, I think that anybody can have a safe set just as long as they're doing just, you know, that right there, I think.
You have you mentioned again it's a $1.5 million film roughly. You kind of touched on it earlier.
Very, very cheap.
Yeah, it's like a 1.5 million. Really?
Yeah, super. Yeah, so you kind of mentioned that, you know, everyone was wearing multiple hats. Two things. A, what was the ratio from how much people they brought in to how many people in Arkansas worked? And then also how many people were like on the set a day, specifically with COVID happening? Like what was the max amount of people on set?
It was really small. And I was talking to Henry Penzi, who was one of the producers, and Henry kind of took the reign of a line producer in a way, because he was kind of managing things as far as like lunches go, making sure that everything was set up, making sure everything was broken down and stuff. And we got off on the wrong foot at the first couple of weeks, or no, I'm sorry, the first week, because, you know, like I said, you know, there was only a few of us PAs that was there that was actually working full time. We had people that was there, you know, donating time, and they would get there for a couple of days. It get too hard for them, and they'd tap out. You know, they'd quit. They wouldn't even show up, wouldn't call or nothing. So we went through a lot of days where we would see new people showing up, and then they would just, I don't think this is for me. But they weren't getting paid for it either. So, you know, there was a lot of frustrations that first week, especially for me being you know, key set, because whenever we first started, you know, Robert and I had talked about because he had a list of people that were on his list that he had that was referred to him, and it was people who I was familiar with that I didn't think that they were going to be able to cut it, especially with some of the attitudes I've seen them in Real Arkansas. And I was like, no, they're not going to be on this set. They're not ready for it, and they're not going to be able to bring anything. And that's going to be more of a hassle on me. Sure. I'm here to kick ass, and I know that just from watching attitudes and watching how people are dealing with people, not going to have it. Can't have that type of attitude on a film set like this. So, so there's you know, like Matt Jordan and Chip Simons, were people who I suggested. And they ended up using Chip in the art department. They took him away from us. So really it was just me and Matt for the most part. We were the ones. And then, you know, Whitney, Hannah Whitney came in, and she worked a couple of days. You know, we had Daniel Nansel come in, you know. Come in. So he came in, and he ended up getting put with G&E. So, you know, as far as like, you know, wearing multiple hats and stuff like that, because we were low on PAs, we didn't have a locations department, we had no transpo department, things like that. It was like we were pushed up against a wall, like hardcore. And I'm not afraid to say it out loud, because they know it. They know what we were going through with like the struggles of, you know, like I can't get to this right here because I got to do this, you know, and you guys are just gonna have to wait. And if you guys don't want to wait, then hire some people. And we went through that a couple of times where we had to voice our frustrations that you guys are going to have to bring in some people. And you know, like I said, Matt Jordan reached out to a few people. I was actually going to put a few, you know, calls out myself, but I was, you know, just having so much to do. And there was one day, there was one day where I had like 4 people around me, and they were asking me 4 different questions. I'm like, you guys are going to have to chill until I get this one thing done. But I think part of that too, at the very beginning of I was kind of talking about our frustrations. Henry and I kind of got off on the wrong foot at first, but then Henry became one of my favorite people. I learned a lot from him, you know, and he get friends with Mark Wahlberg, and part of it, you know, he showed me his FaceTime picture that he did with Mark Wahlberg. He goes, yeah, I'm getting ready to go to, he goes, I didn't shave this week because I'm going to go down into the Dominican Republic and get ready to work on a film with Mark Wahlberg. So he told me not to shave. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And so, but Henry was like, I go, is this set? Is this like the normal? Because to me, it seemed like a big or small film. Like when I worked on God's Not Dead 2, we had a massive crew, and we had multiple people, everybody had their place. And with this, it just seemed like, well, we're kind of, doing more than what I did before on the other film. But, the difference in the budget was this movie, I think, has I heard between, I think 1.5 million ish or something like that. Then you got God's Not Dead 3, which is a $3 million film, or 2, which was a $3 million film. So, I saw the big differences on what you could get as far as crew goes compared to we're trying to keep this as small as we can and make a quality film with the actors that we have. But, the PAs on this film really we were holding that sucker up. We were building a house with it, and we had our hands full. G&E, they had there were some days where they had some struggles, and every department on this film had struggles because of a smaller budget. But I think that we pulled it off, though. It's like I said, there's some things that was frustrating. I wished it was handled better, I guess, and I kept quiet on that, but at the same time, seeing what they were able to accomplish with what they had was pretty amazing too. That was kind of fascinating, and yeah, I don't know.
There was one thing I think about a lot whenever I'm thinking about here making movies or thinking about the movies sets I've been on. You bring up these frustrations, and I've been lucky enough for most of the time I haven't had too many conflicts in terms of with people that, either worked beneath me or worked over me or whatever. And one thing that always kind of in the back of my head is shielding the talent from these kind of, people being upset, the actual working part of it, and these are people and they have a job to do too. But was there any sense of we're having an issue over here, but we can't do that in front of John Malkovich? How do you handle that? Do you what I'm saying? Especially on a small film like this.
That's really easy to shield because they kept him in a green room. Nobody. Really, everybody was really doing what they could because we were all working. We had tasks, so we had things we had to get done constantly. We had to be on our toes. So. There was no break, freak outs or anything like that, where actors could see what was going on. And don't get me wrong, we voiced our concerns, pulled people to the side and said, hey, look, this isn't working out, for us. And in order for us to get past this, we're gonna have to really chill out here and really look what we got, look who you have here, and I know that. Getting people, like I said, myself, Chip, and Nat, and for an exception of Daniel, who came in, and Hannah, it was we didn't have hardly anybody was getting paid as far as PAs go. They were finding people who were actually coming in and working for free. But at the same time, when you're getting free help, you're going to get the quality. You could get quality work, or you could get people who are I don't think I want to do that. I'll see you guys later, and they either cut out during the day, which we didn't have, but people just didn't show back up the next day, and I was actually calling people and are you coming in? And didn't get any responses. So, but
I get the idea of the film as a unit, the film as in terms of higher ups need to take care of their cast and crew. And that is absolutely what happens if you don't. On the flip side of that, I don't see a world in which I don't show up, even if I don't have a good time that first day.
Yeah.
But I think the other side of it though is I
get it. I get it, but
how do you feed yourself? How do you pay rent when you're being asked to volunteer for something that's not paying you?
I get it.
Listen, if they're high school students and it's the middle of summer and you have nothing to do, maybe. But I think if you're not going to pay people, you can't expect people to act like they're being paid. Which is to show
I don't know
be professional and show up on. I feel like
I kind of disagree a little because I haven't been. I think other than my current job and maybe one other movie, I've never been paid for any of the productions I've ever done, and I showed up.
But how many times have they been professional productions?
In my opinion,
no, but professional. People are being paid. Money was raised. There's a budget.
I know. I get what you're saying, but
That's different. That's completely
no. It's not. You should treat every movie as if you are getting paid, in my opinion.
I think, and that's.
I think that's a luxury. I think that's a luxury of people that don't have bills. That's what I think.
I had bills. Me and Johnny knows this. But how many times we were struggling, but we showed up. You know what I'm saying?
For student films, because they were, but I mean, like that's a different era. It's a different time. I mean, I think when we're in the middle of a pandemic where jobs are hard to find anyway, where everything else that is going on in the world. I mean, I don't think it can be. I think it's a simple thing of like, well, I don't think there's. I see both sides of the issue of having valid ways the way they handled it. The money, it's not like they just didn't want to pay people. They just didn't have money, but they needed help. So they were asking for anyone that had the ability to help. Listen, we can't pay you, but please help. But I also understand the people that didn't show up the next day that were like, well, that was great, but I spent 12 hours and I don't have any more money than I did yesterday.
Sure.
You know, so I see both.
Johnny, I get what you're saying, and I agree with you, but let me ask Johnny one question. Are you those people who didn't show up the next day? Are you going to ask them to be on a movie set again?
No. And the reason why is because Robert put out a call, in Rural Arkansas and on Facebook of, hey, look, we're looking for PAs now. It's more of an intern type thing, so you're going to get the experience. Which, as soon as they came up there, I introduced myself and I took care of them myself. And I was like, thank you so much for your help. So and I would always check on them and go, is everything okay? Is there anything you need from me or anything like that? So I was always making sure that PA was taken care of. And so, and I said, look, if you have any questions or whatever, just let me know. I kind of wanted it to be like, if you're not going to come in tomorrow, please let me know. At least let me know something. But knowing that, seeing some of the people that kind of popped in there and seeing the work that they did, as far as like, there's people who just want to be on set, and I get that. We all want to be on set, but when you get hired or you get asked to be in a certain position on a film set, you take it. If you take it, what you do, you're not, you're a production assistant. This is what production assistants do. Right. So, and that's the thing about it. I mean, you kind of got to know that, but and I would, man, I mean, there was a lot of frustrations, and there was a lot of times where I learned some stuff on God's Not Dead too. If you got any frustrations, pull somebody to the side and vent to them. And I told people that, like, just if you have anything to say, whatever, pull me over the side and let's talk about it. And if I had any like questions or anything like where I got frustrated, where I didn't think somebody was doing their work, I'm like, look, you got this walkie. If I'm calling for you, you guys got to pick up, and you got to, acknowledge what's going on, because you're worthless if I can't get you. If I'm up here on set and I got to make sure that, we need waters up here and I can't get down there. And I was like, we need water. So we need a PA to bring something up there. If you can't hear me, you're worthless. And it's all about the hard work.
It just tickles me a little bit. Yeah.
There are people there that are that I will absolutely 100% say, hey, I would love for you to come and work on something here.
Sure.
And if there's a film that comes back into the area, and here's the thing. And I was sharing some of the cool things about this film in rural Arkansas, just bringing awareness, and letting people know that, hey, look, we do have films that are made here. There's like 2 or 3 features being made right now. A lot of people don't know about. Literally, like a couple of days ago, G&E crew, that all the guys who worked on this film, the Chariot, are all just G&E on a Lifetime film here in Arkansas. So there's all these opportunities, but there's people who get disgruntled, and they feel like, well, I'm not being asked to work on a film, and I've seen some people respond to some of my posts, and there's one person in particular, I'm not going to say their name, but I saw what they were reacting to, so I put that post out saying, hey, look, friend me on Real Arkansas. If there's an opportunity coming in, I would love to get people on board that I know that's going to work hard. I'll suggest you, I'll get you on board, but if you're going to sit there and bellyache and piss and moan and be like, well, then get out of Real Arkansas. If you're not going to if you don't want to see what's going on film wise, if you know what I mean? It's kind of like, if you're not.
Yeah. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. Right now we're in a period of pandemic. So there's not and at least from what I understand, there's not a whole lot being filmed right now in Arkansas on a short film level. There is student film still being shot for classes X, Y, and Z, but it's not as pronounced as it was a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
The way to combat that is You know, you see people post stuff like you or me or Daniel or other people that, you know, maybe people trust or whatever, they see it frequently posted, say, hey, you know, I'm interested in this, you know, put yourself out there. You don't say, put me in the movie, say, hey, I would love to, if you're having a day of shooting, can I shadow somebody?
Absolutely.
Can I just stop by and help in some other form? And don't expect to be the cinematographer, you know.
Well, I think at that point, we're just talking about, we're dealing with people that just don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the hard part about Real Arkansas is that most of the people don't have any training, or experience, and so I think it is just more like understanding your audience. And I think you guys are totally right. I think that, just to circle back to what we were saying earlier, I think if you're gonna say you're gonna be there and be professional while you're there and work hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you need to be like, hey, I need to not be here anymore, then communicate that professionally and go about your business, kind of thing. You know what I mean? I do think it is like, we're in Arkansas. If you're looking for free PAs in Arkansas, you're going to get what you're going to get, kind of thing. Yeah, there's not a lot of fish in this sea when it comes to free PAs that know what they're doing, will show up when they're supposed to and work hard. They're just not.
I might have a little pushback on that, but I guess what I really want to say is I ultimately, if you're listening to this and you don't know where to start, or you've been in the game a long time and things haven't been working out for you, I don't want to disgruntle you for you know, reaching out or that kind of thing. Do that. And again, I always tell everybody, look, I got 1,000 things going on constantly. People, you know, I got my own projects. People want me to look at their projects, X, Y, and Z. The biggest thing you can do is just pester me. Like, I'm not, you know, obviously don't fucking message me every goddamn day, but, you know, but like, do it in a professional way and say, hey, have you checked that out yet? Or, you know, I would love your thoughts on it. And if I can't get to it, either A, I'll say, hey, this isn't for me right now, or X, Y, and Z, but it's okay to do that. And, you know, we got to always remember that I don't think we're the end all be all. I don't. We you know, we still haven't. We all have, of us three right now, we all have various degrees of experience on filmmaking, and none of us are at the top making, you know, the biggest blockbuster of all time. That's not happening. We all started at a place where we also didn't understand how to conduct ourselves or how to communicate for this kind of stuff. But it's okay to ask. It's okay to, again, there's certain ways to do things, and just be mindful of that, you know. Anyway, you know, that's a small little rant right there. But it's all in love, though, you know. Again, all in love. But yeah, anyway, if you definitely let someone know, kind of touch back real quick, let someone know if you're not going to be on set the next day.
Exactly.
One thing that really rubs me the wrong way, which I've experienced, is even if I've had people literally call me the morning of, like hours before I was supposed to be on set, like at 4 a.m, and I got to shoot at 6 a.m, and they're, hey, I can't be there today. Yeah. And I wasn't in a good mood from that moment on. Yeah. I mean, I was fine when set hit, but in my back of my head, I'm like, well, I feel fucked in this certain department now. And you could at least let me know beforehand, or you could have sucked it up and be there, like you told me you were going to be there. Anyway, that's my little. I got a little umbrage on that. One of the last things I want to ask you, Johnny, is you talked earlier about you learned a lot on this film. What's the thing that you really take away from it that you can apply to your own movies going forward? What's the things that really stood out to you, that you were like, oh, wow, that's either a new way of going about it that we haven't done yet, or just things that you just really loved and you thought you were going to apply it to future Johnnie Brannon films?
I mean, I don't know. It's you know, like I remember on God's Not Dead 2, how much I had appreciation for all the hard work of everybody, just watching the G&E crew, which I don't know anything about that. You know, I just know my little lighting, itty bitty lighting. I'm still learning about lighting. I mean, I'm not even close to you know, doing what these guys are doing, but you know, it's people I've worked with, Will Scott and you know, Matt Bates and Tyler Vela and Oscar, you know, all these guys that, I mean, it was a very small G&E crew, but, you know, it's guys that...
It's kind of the same main G&E people, that if there's G&E people, was Ben Ellis there, I'm assuming?
Oh, absolutely. And
yeah.
Told the guys,
same crew.
Really lit this film. And did what they did. And, you know, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the work that the PAs that worked for us, you know, that did get, you know, show up every day. And the ones who did put in the
Sure.
blood, sweat, and tears, I guess you could say. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. And the you know, the guys who listened to us whenever we had our frustrations and we're like, we're going to try to fix this, you know. I mean, there was, you know, there was things that didn't go the way I thought it would, as far as like, you know, from the higher ups, that I was very disappointed in, and everything. And I wish, and it could have been, it's not, it should have been, but it could have been handled in a much more professional way. And I think that, I think there's a better way of showing respect. You know, I mean, you can be a producer on set and appreciate the hard work, because there's a couple of producers on there who are doing like fantastic things, like Sasha Yulin, who, you know, he's got a film on Netflix right now. I think it's called The Vanishing, maybe. It's one that's got Jason Patrick in it. It was in the top 10, but Sasha was incredible. He's such a nice guy, and he actually, I think, is producing or just produced this film called Monstrous. It's got Christina Ricci. That was originally supposed to be shot in Oklahoma, and they ended up taking it out to LA, but he's a part of that. And, you know, and Henry Penzi, that's his producing partner. Henry is actually Vernon Davis, who's the football player. He won Super Bowl 50.
I know the name, yeah.
Vernon is in his film. He was on Dance with the Stars, and he is probably one of the nicest guys on the planet. I got a chance to tell him that, you know, and he was there, and you know, just seeing actors like Vernon, who's actually up and coming actors. Thomas Mann, he was in Kong Skull Island. He was in, you know, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. You know, Thomas, and he worked with you know, Dean Denton, another local actor here, on The Highwaymen.
Is he the one that's that? I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Thomas Mann. Is he the guy? Is he an Agent Carter also?
I don't think so.
Let me look.
He was in, remember that movie Project X that came out years ago, where they shut down Los Angeles, a big party and everything? He was in that. He was like the lead in that. But he's one of the nicest guys, you know, and he knew us by name, you know, at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he came out and gave me a hug at the end. He goes, everybody gets a hug. Rosa Salazar, who played Alita Battle Angel, gave me a hug on her after she rapped. She goes, you know, she came up to me and gave me a big hug. And I was like, yeah, I gotta come back to Arkansas. And she goes, you know, I will. Yeah, things like that. It's just like whenever you get around people who are doing like great things like that they acknowledge, you know, you as a person on a set. And, you know, it's funny because they were like, Thomas, we were up there shooting a scene in this room up at the Lafayette, and Thomas is like, oh, Matt's wearing his shorts, talking about Matt Bates. He goes, Matt's got his shorts on. He goes, I don't see how I can handle that cold weather out there. But just knowing that they're on a first name basis with us, you know, it's pretty cool.
I gotta say, Johnny, I'm real disappointed, because the two best Blu-rays I own is Kong 4K Ultra HD 3D Blu-ray Steelbook.
Why is it the best?
And because and also Alita Battle Angel 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray 3D Steelbook. Both of those are the best, because you got 4K, 3D, Blu-ray, digital, and Steelbook. Those don't exist.
So it's just the amount of words in front of the word of the movie. That's how you know how good it is.
It's not the word, Daniel. It's what it represents. It represents.
Is it how thick the steel is? Is it
0.11.3%
pure steel, or is it?
It's a
is
little
there some
heavier.
iron in there? Is there some copper in there?
It's a little heavier.
I mean?
But the thing is, the idea is that the studio said, "Hey, there's someone like Donovan out there who wants all the shit
we can just squeeze the money out of, like a little rag.
I'll pay for it. Just give it to me.
Drip it into our mouths."
But to wrap it back around, I'm just real disappointed, Johnny, that you didn't get these. You were on set and you didn't think about me getting these signed. Anyway, I got to.
You know, they probably would have done it too, because that's how cool they would.
Yeah.
I mean, what was neat was that, you know, Scout Taylor Compton was also on the set too, and she's been here to Little Rock before. She shot a short film called Cursed a couple years ago with Eric England and Jessica Burks. And so, you know, when Thomas Mann was getting mic'd, I said, hey, real quick, I said, Dean didn't want me to let you know, tell you hi. And he goes, you know Dean? I was like, yeah. And I said, he lives 30 minutes away from here. He goes, oh, yeah, he texted me. I got to give him a text back, man. And then Scout, you know, was in a movie up in Chicago with Dustin Prince. And I said, hey, real quick, I said, I want you to know, Dustin told me to tell you hi. She goes, you know Dustin? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, that's so cool. Yeah, we just worked on a film together. And I was like, yeah. So he was saying, and I said, he said, and you did incredible. And he goes, oh, well, tell him thank you. Things like that, you know, it was really neat to be able to kind of get that out there. And Vernon Davis, you know, he came up there, like we wrapped him, and then we were all on lunch, and he came up, we were up there eating, and he came by, he's like, all right, guys, you guys doing good over there? And we're like, yeah. I go, hey, listen, I got to tell you right now, man. I said, you're one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. He goes, oh, dude. He goes, well, it's just treat how you want people to be treated, isn't it? And I was like, exactly. And he was just such a nice guy. And he's on set with Bruce Willis right now in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
So so his Instagram, he and Bruce Willis and Henry Penzi, Henry's his manager. So it's just things like that are so cool that the actors, there was no divas, there was like no bad attitudes or anything like that. They're all super cool as far as, you know, they were here in Arkansas, and they enjoyed it. They liked it here. So, and I think it's we're going to have more of these. I think the producers liked what they saw here, and I think that they're going to be bringing more movies back this way.
That's awesome.
Cool.
I'm looking forward to it. Hey, Daniel, did anyone write into our Bitly? I know that I put that out there, and
oh yeah,
if they had any questions for Johnny, it's your job is to check the Bitly.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot.
First one is that. While Daniel is looking that up, Johnny, how can people catch up?
Were you about to ask him for the VIT? Were you about to ask him?
I was gonna ask him how can people, like, what are you working on, and how can people find you right now and kind of stay up to date, like your YouTube channel and that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Right now I am working on my YouTube channel. It's I'm showing one film I've made every week. It's my short film theater. And basically showing a film that I've worked on that's you know, and how we made it and how it got there, and the people that's been attached to it. It's just everything I've worked for as far as like being an actor, and these are the results. You know, every year that I've shot a film, I kind of wanted to bring it back to life and kind of into it, and show people, like, you know, when I showed still life, the people we worked on it with, you know, it had an incredibly talented crew of people that's doing big things, you know. And so I'm doing that, and I'm actually supposed to have an episode up today, but I'm not going to do it today.
Fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. Fridays, I was going to have like just kind of show tutorials on how to make a, you know, I'm going to get into production, you know, kind of start talking about pre-production and get into making a film. And I'll probably actually shoot a short film, just kind of show the behind the scenes of it. But yeah, it's Johnnie Brannon Filmwork on YouTube, and I'm trying to get as many subscribers as I can. And right now, that channel is going to be strictly that, you know, doing tutorials and then kind of showing behind the scenes of projects I've worked on and whatnot, and you know, whether it be acting, whether it be filmmaking. As far as acting goes, I had 3 big auditions for a ABC miniseries shooting over in Mississippi, Tennessee. I was signed with an agency in Alabama late last year, and they've actually got me a couple auditions. I've auditioned for a David O. Russell film. I auditioned for a movie they shot with David Duchovny down in Louisiana, and this is actually one called Women of the Movement, and it's executive produced by Will Smith and Jay-Z, and it's going to be on ABC in the fall. It's got Ray Fisher, he's the lead in it, and so I auditioned back on February 1st for Deputy Number 2, and nothing happened, and then he came back on February the 20th, and they had me read for a jury foreman, and I didn't get that. That was actually the big one I put on Facebook. That I was like, you know, this is kind of crazy. This casting director is like asked me to read twice, and then they actually sent me one a couple of days ago for an editor. And you know, I auditioned for about an hour. You know, I filmed, you know, different ones, and I don't know. I thought it did all right, but you know, it's just the opportunity of actually reading 3 times for this ABC miniseries is enough for me. So, you know, getting some auditions finally that's from out of state and whatnot, that's going pretty good. So I know that there's you know, Dean Denton actually got cast in it. He's playing a foreman. I don't know if he's playing the jury foreman, but he's going to be in it. And that's the only person I recognize right offhand as far as that's here in Arkansas. I know that there might be some actors that's doing background work down there. I think I've seen a few people post on Facebook but it's background work. You know, it's not principal work. I shouldn't be like that, but cut that out.
Well, we're not
We
going
don't
to cut it
edit
out.
anything
But
ever.
I'm going to tell you right now, Johnny, in about a week from now, the Snyder Cut drops. And about, I think it's May something, the 4K Steelbook comes out. So if you get to work with Ray Fisher, I'm telling you right now, you're going to get him to sign that for me.
I don't know if he's going to be willing to sign anything with the WB words on.
No.
that part.
Snyder Cut, he will. I guarantee right now, Ray Fisher would live and die for the Snyder Cut. I promise you.
Okay, I'm writing
anyway,
that down. I'm going to ask him that if I ever meet him.
Ask him. So Daniel, did anyone write anything in?
No.
Those sons of bitches.
Of course
That's
not.
okay. We asked some really
not.
good questions. We don't need people to write into us.
Yeah, there was that one guy that said, "What does flocati actually mean?"
I wasn't
But
gonna
that's,
ask that I wasn't gonna ask that because I
Oh.
specifically said write into our Bitly, John Ross Parks. Anyway,
Yeah,
Johnny,
fair.
where does Flocati's name come from?
Flocati is a type of Italian shag carpet. So when we came up with the name Flocati Films, basically it was kind of presenting ourselves as the nicest shag.
Perfect. I love it.
If
And
we were
you
in
know,
Britain, that would mean something else. Anyway, sorry. I don't know why that's what my mind did, but that's what mine did.
well,
Sorry.
future listeners or current listeners, if you do want to write in to our to podcast 2 for 1, Daniel, how can our listeners write into us?
You can go to your web browser and you can type in the words www.bit.ly/2for1mail. Actually, I don't think you put the W's in there. I think you just do bit.ly
No
slash
W's.
2for1mail. Now I wonder where you go if you put the W's in there. The dark web, probably.
maybe.
So that's probably the dark web's email address right there. So bit.ly/2for1mail. Let us know if you have questions for Johnny that we'll ask someday. I don't know. I guess Donovan might text him if it's a good enough question. You can maybe put your phone number in there. Maybe Donovan will text you the answer back. I don't know, guys. Sorry, I was trying to figure out, like, what are they asking? What do they want? What are we asking to know?
They could ask us anything. What we had for breakfast.
That's true.
You know, if we have other projects coming up, and what things, you know, if they want to talk about Star Wars, Marvel, DC, our normal topics.
No, of
or
course,
anything,
yeah. I mean, if you just want to shoot the shit, we're always here. But I was trying to keep it on topic.
I mean, of course, they can always ask us about filmmaking questions. We are filmmakers,
yes.
so we have an understanding of it. And of course, if you can't hit our Bitly, you can always comment below if you're on YouTube. And of course, to find us, you just got to type in youtube.com/2for1studios. It is the best place to consume the content. And if you haven't already, like I said before, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. That way, stay on all future content like 2for1 Collectors, 2for1 Backflash, and of course, Podcast 2for1. Johnny, it was a pleasure having you on the channel.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll have you on sooner rather than later. I know we always have
more Johnny exploits in the future.
We always have stuff, you know, talking about future projects, X, Y, and Z. Real quick, last thing. Can you still submit to Made in Arkansas?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Are y'all doing all digital this year? I'm assuming again.
I think it's. I mean, I say right now. I mean, I haven't really been pushing it. You know, Fort Smith is getting ready to start their film festival as well. I think that's really cool.
Really?
You know, I mean, yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you. I've been kind of out of it. I need to get back into it, but we got actually some really interesting features. We got some interesting shorts. So yeah, we got some really good, you know, solid films as well. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a 3-day festival. You know, of course, the more movies we get in, the more we can actually program. If we do take it digital, so yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to wait.
So we'll be on the lookout for that news about the final plans, I assume.
And that's madeinarkansas.org, right, Johnny?
Actually, I don't know if the website's up anymore. But you can go to Film Freeway, I think, /Made in
You're on
Arkansas.
Facebook, right?
On Facebook, yeah. Definitely go to Facebook.
Johnny, we'll flash up your phone number and your social security number right here in this part of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Johnny, again, it was a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And of course, my name is Donovan Thompson.
And I am Daniel Wingfield. And Johnny is going to say his name now.
Oh, I'm Johnnie Brannon.
Yeah.
And we have spoken.